Hello everyone and welcome, I'm Beastly Eel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest episode of The Boys. So we're going to be breaking this up into separate parts. We're going to be talking about the major plot twist that happened at the end. We're going to be talking about Homelander and the Seven in general, and we're going to be talking about The Boys. Some of this stuff does intertwine. Oh, and we also talk about Ryan. So let's get right into talking about all of this, right? And then we're going to be talking about our thoughts on where the season finale of Season 4 of The Boys is going to go. So right now we are at Episode 7. This is Episode 7, sorry. So a lot has happened, obviously. So let's talk about Ryan first. So Ryan is being used as a mascot for the youth. He is like the new Homelander, or is what Vought and Homelander is hoping to be. He's been put on a Christmas show to kind of show the world that make sure you turn on your parents if they're against soups, so we can then take care of them. And which is scary in itself, let me say. But minus all that, right? So Ryan doesn't feel comfortable doing it. So he stops in the middle of the rehearsal, calls up his dad, and is like, "Hey, I really want to talk to you. I really don't think I'm okay with this," and goes into that kind of a tangent. Well, when Homelander finally gets the phone call, he's so swamped with everything else that's going on, he basically tells Ryan to suck it up and deal with it and just do it for him. And that's when Ryan's not happy and decides on live television to say he doesn't find any of it cool, and that maybe you shouldn't rat on your parents, because he loves his parents, specifically his mother, who was a human, which I find very interesting. But that being said, so we had that happen. Now, obviously, Ashley was trying to get him to stop. He refused, and Homelander doesn't look happy. So we then are going to go right into talking about The Boys. The Seven. So in the Seven, we have a disconnect with Sister Sage and Homelander, significantly so. So apparently the two of them are in a disagreement, mostly due to the fact of he doesn't think Sister Sage is worth the time anymore, because of her intelligence. She goes in after having her head blown in with a gun by last episode. She comes back and she thought there was a meeting happening earlier, and it was later, and it turns out they moved it up earlier. So Firecracker's there as well. So they then talk about how they figured out A-Train was the leak. And Sister Sage is like, "I know." And he's like, "So more secrets that you haven't told me." And she goes, "Well, because I was having him feed information to Butcher and his team that we purposely wanted him to have, so we knew what was going on." And so they were like, "Well, Webweaver told us that it was him." And she was like, "Webweaver? You guys actually thought that Junkie was the leak?" And she starts laughing, and Homelander doesn't find it funny, and Homelander is unhappy with the fact that Sister Sage continues to not tell him everything, because in his mind he's the boss and he should know everything. And she's like, "Not everything needs to be known, and there's certain things that need to be kept a secret." And he doesn't like that, so he says, "You know what? You're fired." And she's like, "You promised me." And he's like, "Just get out." And she just leaves, and she's furious. So before Firecracker thought Webweaver was the leak, because he basically explains what he does, what he did to give Butcher and the boys the information. So he then freaks out when Homelander's there and starts shooting his webs out of his behind, and Homelander finally just gets so fed up with it that he literally full on does a Mortal Kombat fatality and rips him in half, and obviously kills Webweaver. Firecracker is shocked at what she just saw due to the fact that she did not expect Homelander to be able to do such a thing, and changes her dynamic with him in the sense of more feared than admiration. We then have her getting kicked out as well by Homelander because he's just done with them all, and that was the end of the Seven's interaction. So we have the boys. So MM is getting ready to go on a trip, and A-Train is the one who goes and talks to him and tries to convince him to not give up, and that if they don't stop Homelander and Vought now, it's going to spread across the world, and nobody will be able to stop them, which convinces them to do so. So we have Butcher come back with himself explaining, and with Frenchie, because he gets Frenchie out of prison, explaining to the boys what he's done and how he took Samir and tried to get him to create the virus. So then Frenchie and Kimiko were assigned to work on watching Samir recreate the virus, while Butcher, Huey, and Annie go after their lead on who might be working with Sister Sage on trying to kill the president. So the three of them get there, they go through the place, they see all these plans on when they're going to kill the president, and they find a woman in the closet. She then runs away. The three of them run after her. She then touches an older woman in the hallway. She then begins to rip her skin off to turn into that woman and run away. Apparently it's a souped up chameleon. So they can't find them, and now they're back at basically ground zero is the best way to phrase that. So they go back to their so Butcher and Annie go back to their office, while Huey goes to talk to Newman. He tries to convince her, human to human, of what is going on and what's wrong here, and she basically is although we definitely see that she's distraught by this, and definitely more so than we thought, we definitely see the side of her being I can't stop this, and it's already started, and we're just going to continue on this train. And so she asks him to leave. So he leaves and goes back, and then we have Samir create the virus. He then injects it into Kimiko. He then hobbles away and escapes. Frenchie has to saw off Kimiko's leg to stop the virus from spreading, from killing her, and does so. So during all of that, right, we have all of that going on. We then have Butcher and Annie being attacked by the Deep and Black Noir. So the two of them start fighting around. And lucky for them, A-Train and MM come in to save the day. Annie then beats Deep to a bloody pulp, but does not kill him. And she then leaves him there, and they all go out for drinks. Well, a woman takes a selfie with Starlight, and the rest of the group kind of goes back to what they were doing. So they then get introduced to the virus leg of Kimiko, and explaining how they're going to have to work together to build this virus to kill Homelander. And then they're going to have to figure out what their plan is to stop, or figure out who the chameleon is, chameleon assassin. So at the end of the episode, Annie dresses up in her Starlight outfit, has a fun time with Huey, where she then opens up the safe and takes out all his information on Newman and goes away. And her eyes do that lizard thing, because apparently Annie has been taken. So what we find out is Annie wakes up in an abandoned building, where she's chained up, unable to break free, where we see the ripped skin of the woman who took the selfie with her. And apparently we have a flashback of her at the bar going to the bathroom, and the woman who took the selfie knocking her out and then capturing her and bringing her there. And that, my friends, was the end of the episode. So one of the big things here is, who is the chameleon assassin and how long have they been there? Well, there's speculation that the assassin has been there since Huey's mother has been introduced. The reason for that is because many people are thinking that the assassin, whether it actually is his mother or was pretending to be his mother, she was already there talking with Huey in the hospital. And the reason why people have that assumption has to do with the fact that she was reading about the assassination of presidents, a book on the assassination of presidents, while in the hospital. Also, the idea of like she just coming back out of the blue and things like that, but also the fact of just she randomly shows up and everything else, and it's just a possibility. However, that is kind of awesome if that is the case, because that means she was there building up her not her resume, building up her repertoire to really truly understand the boys, to get in their heads, so she could then easily infiltrate them and potentially use one of them to have to be blamed for the assassination of the president, which I find very interesting. So yeah, so next episode we're definitely getting an assassination attempt. We're gonna find out whether the boys figure out that Annie is a imposter, and whether or not Homelander is going to die, because that virus is going to be used. So I'm very curious at all that. Plus, I have a feeling we're also going to have, because Butcher at the end of this episode passes out as his evil counterpart in his mind is laughing. So the thought is maybe the tumor taking over Butcher, which then could spread the virus and kill a lot of Supes. We'll have to wait and see. However, I'll be very interested to see what happens. But yeah, so the thought that potentially the assassin has been there for a while is an interesting thought. And the fact that they have the potential of turning into Huey. Although, we're not 100% sure if they're able to, because we've only seen them turn into females. So the idea might be that they can only turn into females. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it, did you not? And why? And tell me your thoughts on the assassin. Who do you think they were, and have they been in this series for a while, or is this the first time we've seen them? This is not the first Supe chameleon we've seen. However, this is the first one that does it by ripping their skin off to shed into a new person. So